It's Press Pass with Jack Ebling, Mid-Michigan's spirited sports debate. Now let's get talking sports. Here's Jack.
Evening, Mid-Michigan and beyond, and welcome to Press Pass on Fox 47. We are halfway through the month of May, a busier 4.5 weeks than many fans realize. The NBA players served up a pair of Game 7s today, but that paled in comparison to the NHL, which treated us to 5 of them this weekend. The NFL, a 365-day-a-year story, finally had its 2022 schedule reveal, and the Detroit Lions start with a pair of home games against beatable teams. Exactly what Philly and Washington are saying about them. The Tigers had another weird week, splitting 8 games, including one when they were the road team in their own stadium. But that wasn't as strange as Cincinnati not allowing a hit today and losing. I guess that explains why they're the worst team in baseball. It was a week of comings and goings at Michigan State, with Adam Nightingale being introduced as hockey coach just 3 days before Jackie Joseph's last game with Spartan softball. And in the biggest story of the week, former MSU basketball standout Adreian Payne was killed in a senseless shooting in Orlando, Florida. We'll take a long look at AP's life as we wonder what he and his special friend, Lacey Holdsworth, did with no more pain today. Here to talk about that and more is Team 450, Larry Lage, Michigan Associated Press sports editor, a proud Ann Arborite who also served as Sparty, a Winter Olympic Games regular, the world's greatest multitasker, and someone who never forgets its family first. Larry, how are you?
I'm good, Jack. National Honor Society dad, proud dad. So shout out to Elle.
And I think it's pretty cool that both of our panelists today have offspring getting ready to head off to college. And want to welcome Joe Rexrode, senior writer for The Athletic, former standout at the State News, Lansing State Journal, Detroit Free Press, The Tennessean, and my co-author for a little Michigan State, Michigan football story that'll never die, The Perfect 10. Joe, how are you?
I am doing great. It's great to be with you guys. This is a little bit of a Team LSJ reunion from around 20 years ago, or 20 plus years ago, actually.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've got a kid, Jack, going to Michigan State next fall. So how about that?
We will take very good care of him while he is up here. And you think about that, guys. Larry, as you said, hey, it was 2000, and we're all sitting there in Indianapolis watching Michigan State win a national title, not realizing that's the last time the Big Ten would win one.
Yeah, right. Who would have thought it?
We'll be right back. We'll take a long look at the career and the life of Adreian Payne. Up next on Press Pass.
You pull it, you drag it, you own it. Saturday, May 28th, get down to You Pull and Save. Show off those muscles. See what you can pull across the finish line for $59.99. We set the vehicles, you pull the parts. You Pull and Save, where every ride has an upside.
It all starts with your idea, the dream of a new kitchen or bathroom, brought to reality with the help of American Home Kitchen and Bath in Okemos. From beautiful cabinets to luxurious countertops and exquisite hardware, American Home Kitchen and Bath has everything you need to create your dream kitchen and bathroom. From design to selection, our expert designers are here to help you every step of the way. Make your dream a reality today by visiting our beautiful new kitchen and bath showroom located at 5100 Marsh Road in Okemos.
Get in gear this spring with 11% off everything at Menards. We've got your automotive needs covered, from tools, towing, and accessories to maintenance and everything in between. Need ratchet straps? Got it. Wiper blades? Copy that. Motor oil? Done. If your car has over 75,000 miles, it's time to step up and fight against engine breakdown with Valvoline's high mileage synthetic blend motor oil. A quart is $2.99 after 11% rebate at Menards.
Save big money at Menards.
Woody's Oasis, your healthy alternative to fast food. Woody's has the best Mediterranean food in town. Stop and see Chuck and Delita. They'll make you feel like family. Their friendly, knowledgeable staff is always willing to help.
Hi, how are you doing today? Do you want to do the homemade bread with it, or did you want to do the thin bread as a side?
They'll be sure to put a smile on your face. And as lifelong supporters of MSU athletics, you never know who might stop by. Eat Woody's and live longer.
Coulda, shoulda, Woody's.
Woody's Oasis on Trowbridge Road, right next to campus.
At Graf Chevrolet in Okemos, you'll always get a great deal on a huge selection of high-quality used cars and trucks. But you'll also get something else, peace of mind. Every Graf used vehicle purchase comes with up to 6 oil changes for the first 2 years of ownership. We'll also give you free tire rotation with every other oil change. Always a great selection of used vehicles starting from $1,000 and up. Check them out at grafokemos.com. Lower your cost of ownership with our Peace of Mind program, only at Graf Chevrolet in Okemos.
Welcome back to Press Pass here on Fox 47. It's time for our Going Green segment, brought to you by Graf Chevrolet and Graf Nissan on West Grand River in Okemos. With 107 years in the automobile business, they'll take great care of you, as they have on all 7 of my leases and purchases. For a new or used vehicle, go green, go Graf.
Lacey's a girl that was stricken with one of our most feared diseases, cancer.
We made it.
On a normal trip to the hospital that we do once in a while, she asked him to stick around, and he did.
I haven't colored like this in a long time, Lacey. Last time I colored was when I was with you.
Really?
Lacey is a special friend, and she's like a sister to me. What color you get your nails?
Pink.
Pink. That's your favorite color?
Yellow is.
Yellow. All right. I'm gonna make sure I get yellow on this.
Adrian's my brother. I just think of him when I smile.
Guys, we've covered a lot of emotional stories, but it's hard to imagine a bigger tearjerker then or this week than the one the Journal presented so perfectly with AP and Lacey. Your memory of that, Joe?
Yeah, I tell you, first of all, just a terrible tragedy with Adreian Payne, and it did the past few days. A lot of that stuff has kind of flooded back. We'll never forget a lot of those moments along the way, with Lacey and her family kind of, really going along for the ride with really a couple straight Michigan State basketball teams. But, the day she passed away, the night I mentioned Jack last segment, took him to the Rock that night, and Tom Izzo showed up and the students were there doing a vigil for Lacey. Never forget that, and never forget, of course, the celebration of life at Breslin. I mean, you talk about emotion, crowd, media, all involved, and then of course, it's terrible that these memories are coming back through another tragedy.
Larry, what about you?
His relationship with Lacey is what really stands out to me, and I think his development as a person, as best we knew him, and a player, was really remarkable. I think Draymond Green had a lot of great things to say about him on his podcast. One of the things Draymond talked about is he graduated after having a learning disability, having his mom die in his arms, and then later losing his grandma. He overcame a lot.
Larry, it's easy to forget that Adreian Payne started 94 basketball games at Michigan State, went 17 for 17 at the line in an NCAA tournament game, set an MSU postseason mark with 41 points in 2014, and was the 15th pick in the NBA draft. What else should we remember?
I think we should remember to cherish every day that we get. I'm sure Adreian would tell us that himself if he could. And also, as Draymond said on his podcast, if someone calls you to help in a domestic situation, probably best to call for professional help and not do it yourself.
Joe, I want to take a look at AP with Tom Izzo. And seeing eye to eye, though, one of them had to bend way down to do it. There were rough spots along the way, like a redesigned wall in the Nittany Lion Inn. But AP grew exponentially over the past decade, as Larry said, proving a lot of people wrong. And you said you were shocked that he didn't have a long NBA career. Why didn't he?
Well, that's a great question. And yeah, I mean, his growth as a player, you know, you want to be cautious in saying there's a lot of guys you will forget about if you want to say it's the greatest you've seen or one of the greatest. But I feel confident in saying that, like Adreian Payne from arrival to finish. And remember, it was a very celebrated recruit.
Yeah.
But you know, you look at the end there, the completeness of his offensive game, the way he was rebounding, the way, you know, he had worked so hard to become physical enough. I really thought, just as a pick and pop big and a guy who could protect the rim a little bit, just the athleticism obviously was off the charts. I thought that he would have a more successful NBA career, but I don't have a great answer on that. I mean, sometimes it is where you are, it's the situation. You know, I think sometimes guys get in perfect spots and it flourishes for them. And then, well, I mean, if you want to go to a different sport, I know we're going to talk about the Lions later. I think sometimes guys go to the Detroit Lions, for example, and you know, maybe they would have had a better NFL career elsewhere. But his transformation at Michigan State was remarkable. And yeah, by the end there, you know, really everything was revolving around him for that team that, of course, lost to UConn in the Elite Eight.
Guys, I want to get back to AP and Lacey and get your quick takes, maybe a sentence or two, on a series of photos. Joe, let's start with you and Lacey cheering for her giant in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, of course, this certainly brings back memories. And of course, that was Lacey was really struggling then, you know, and you look at that picture and you can see, I mean, she fought really hard to be able to even be there with that team. That's what comes to mind for me.
Larry, what about AP and Lacey snipping the net on senior night?
Yeah, you know, a great memory, and you can see the look on their face. And you know what I'll remember is from Lacey's memorial where Adreian spoke. That was one of the most emotional assignments of my life. One of two times I remember writing while I was crying on my keyboard. You know, the other time was when Ernie Harwell passed away.
Joe, there was no more radiant couple at Dick Vitale's gala for the V Foundation than a pair of soulmates.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, the thing is, I mean, Dick, of course, has gone through his own battle again this past year, and still, and I've actually talked to them quite a bit. I know, you know, you guys know him really well. He still talks about Lacey.
Yeah.
That's still, and there's so many kids, of course, who have impacted him and who he has helped, but still a really important memory for Dick Vitale.
And there was the silent dunk. We got Draymond Green talking about what he's going to do. He'll not be forgotten.
Anyone who's had our chicken knows it's plump and juicy. What they may not know is that it's also 100% natural.
All our chickens are certified, humanely raised, no antibiotics, on a high-quality diet of soy and grain.
Why are they called tenders?
They're called tenders because they come from the tenderloin of the breast, hand-trimmed just for colors. It's not a strip or a finger, it is the true tenderloin.
I'll put our chicken tenders up against anybody's.
That's like my Granny Franklin used to make. That's outstanding, Craig.
Welcome to Delicious.
Call it a sense of purpose, a higher calling. At Dean Transportation, we call it our passion. It's simply who we are. 60 years of pioneering the best health and safety standards because safe student transportation is essential. We are hard-working folks, connecting children to learning, schools to our communities, and you to a better career. Want to make Mid-Michigan a better place? We'll put you in the driver's seat. Join the Dean family today and help to connect our kids to brighter futures.
When you take a look inside Dart Bank, you'll find a banking experience like no other. You'll find that each of our banking offices are made of local people making local decisions. Even through these challenging times, our teams and lobbies stayed open, ready to help you through all your banking and mortgage needs when you needed us most. So if you're looking to upgrade where you bank, We invite you to come see our Dart difference. After all, we've been doing this for over 94 years. Dart Bank, for what matters most.
The Resident, all new Tuesdays at 8 on Fox.
Come see all the beautiful flooring options available at American Flooring. American Flooring offers the newest selections of designs and products from Shaw Floors, featuring Cortec, Anderson, Tough Tex, and much more. From luxurious carpet, beautiful hardwoods, durable luxury vinyl, and elegant tile, our expert designers are here to help you realize all your flooring dreams. With 3 locations to serve you: Okemos at Central Park Place on Marsh Road, DeWitt in the Shavy Plaza, and on West Saginaw next to Kohl's. Let American Flooring make all your flooring dreams a reality.
As children grow up, they face a lot of choices. Choices that affect their future or determine their character. Families can support their choices with a Met Prepaid Education Savings Program, where you pay for future education at today's prices. It's a safe, secure way to give them a debt-free start, or get back at least what you put in, often more, if they choose a different path. Because you can't predict the future, but you sure can prepare for it.
Welcome back to Press Pass here on Fox 47. It's time for our Lansing's Best segment, brought to you by the Greater Lansing Sports Authority. Bring thousands of athletes and teams to Mid-Michigan for dozens of tournaments and special events. Hats off to everyone at the GLSA for showing just what this area can be.
Run. Horford gets by Giannis and throws it down and one. Al Horford. A primal scream. And Giannis on the deck. Chance at a three-point play for Al Horford. Oh, was an elbow to the jaw.
And Mike Budenholzer wants them to look at that, and I believe they are going to. It looks like they're going over there.
Horford.
Joe, I had long believed that Jay Vincent was the second best basketball player from Mid-Michigan. But how can it not be Al Horford, who starred for the Grand Ledge Comets, helped Florida win back-to-back NCAA titles, went 3rd overall in the NBA draft after his junior year, became a 5-time All-Star, and in year 15 is still an integral part of an NBA title contender.
Yeah, I think it easily is. We've been, reminiscing already on this show. So let's see, that was class of 04. Is that right?
That's right.
Class of 04 coming out of Grand Ledge, and still remember all the, the Al Horford, Goran Suton, of course, debates. They played against each other. Michigan State recruiting both of them. Which one's better? Suton, by the way, heck of a college career, but for Michigan State, eventually a really important player, but pretty remarkable what Al Horford has done. And the way he's kind of redefined his game to stay in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't doing this stuff as a young player, but he's figured out a way to still be really impactful.
Joe, what did you think of the Boston-Milwaukee 7-game series and today with the Celtics blowout?
Well, and today I'll do a little local shout out from down here in Tennessee. Grant Williams, my goodness, was he massive today. Tied the Game 7 record with 7 threes off the bench, the former Tennessee Volunteer. I mean, look, I think the Bucks win this series if they have Chris Middleton, but injuries are part of the deal. I also you have to be impressed with the way Boston played in the last 2 games. Jason Tatum is a guy who I still feel like he doesn't get talked about enough in this league. Maybe that changes now that we're going to watch them in the Eastern Conference Finals. He's tremendous.
Boston was the 7th seed in the East at the start of 2022, had an unbelievable last 4.5 months. Can the Celtics win it all, Joe?
Yeah, I think they can. I wouldn't pick them to, and I will say, though, I wouldn't pick them to win it all. I think whoever comes out of the West is probably the best bet.
Yeah.
But I think the Celtics have a really good chance to beat the Heat and get there. And as you said, I mean, this is a 500 team going back in January. Right. Heck of a stretch run here.
Larry, what about Miami, Philly in the other East semifinal? What did we learn?
That the Sixers traded their problem for another problem. The Ben Simmons, James Harden trade looks like a lose-lose deal if I've ever seen one. James Harden is just not a superstar anymore. He hogs the ball. He can't shoot threes. And meanwhile, Ben Simmons didn't even get in a game in the playoffs for the Brooklyn Nets, and they're pretty upset about it. And Miami's just really balanced, top to bottom. I mean, they're a top seed for a reason. They may not be spectacular. I mean, Jimmy Butler is probably quietly an NBA superstar. I mean, other than people who really follow the game, but you don't really hear a lot of people talk about Jimmy Butler being one of the best NBA players, but he certainly is.
And very deep with Sixth Man of the Year, Tyler Hero. Joe, what about Golden State and the Morantless Memphis Grizzlies? Would the Warriors have won that series if the Grizz had a full 7 games of jaw-dropping performances?
Yeah, it's a great question. Now, remember, the last game he played was actually the most decisive Golden State win. They blew Memphis out of the building. And then, of course, late in that game, we had the knee issue. And I guess people think Jordan Poole did like a kung fu death punch on his knee. That whole thing was bizarre. But I don't know. I still think Golden State probably prevails. I think Memphis, it doesn't always work this way in other sports, but I think in the NBA, maybe as much as any sport, you really do have these sort of rites of passage for these teams, right? And so many great teams have gone through that. And I think this was destined to be that for the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, they, of course, have played very well without Ja anyway this year. They were 20-5 in the regular season.
Right.
But I think Golden State was going to pull this out regardless. And I think Golden State might win the whole thing. But that Memphis team, and Ja Morant is publicly committed to staying there.
Yeah.
And with Jaren Jackson, the way he's coming on, they are going to be heard from a lot in the near future.
I never thought we would see Golden State trail a game by 55 points. Blair, what about the series that's playing, Game 7, as we tape this show, Dallas and Phoenix? Is this Chris Paul's legacy game, good or bad?
Yeah, I think so. He's had a tremendous career and yet hasn't won the big one. And he certainly is surrounded by a lot of talent with his son's team. But I think the best player on the court is Luca Doncic. He has just been tremendous in this series and really all season. His series averages are 32 points, 10 rebounds, and 7.5 assists. That was going into Game 7. I mean, that's just tremendous.
Lair, we lost one of the best players and people in NBA history this week with the death of longtime Piston center Bob Lanier at age 73. When you think about all that Bob did, he was a terrific player at St. Bonaventure, took the Bonnies to Final Four, was fantastic for the Pistons and the Bucks. 30 years in the NBA front office, Players Association, and an ambassador. He's one of the best that this game has known. We'll be right back with more coming up on Press Pass.
Happy's Pizza, ribs, wings, and jumbo.
Right now at Happy's Pizza, get a large 3-topping pizza and a free 2-liter of Pepsi for just $14.99. Make everyone happy. Happy's Pizza. Call 1-800-BE-HAPPY or order online at happyspizza.com.
At Flooring America, it's never been easier to roll out any carpet you want. They have easy-to-order samples and helpful online tools,
making it simple to find your perfect floors.
Honey?
Oh, you're home.
Flooring America, the easiest way to shop for floors. Right now at Flooring America, it's the Pet-Proof Flooring Sale. Get pet-approved savings and special financing in-store and online.
Carpet Studio, Flooring America, celebrating 50 years.
Happy's Pizza, ribs.
Right now at Happy's Pizza, get the crazy wing deal. 1 pound of Happy Wings with a pound of boneless wings for just $19.99. Make everyone happy. Call 1-800-BE-HAPPY or order online at happyspizza.com.
When you take a look inside Dart Bank, you'll find a banking experience like no other. You'll find that each of our banking offices are made of local people making local decisions. Even through these challenging times, our teams and lobbies stayed open, ready to help you through all your banking and mortgage needs when you needed us most. So if you're looking to upgrade where you bank, we invite you to come see our Dart difference. After all, we've been doing this for over 94 years. Dart Bank, for what matters most.
At Graff Chevrolet in Okemos, you'll always get a great deal on a huge selection of high-quality used cars and trucks. But you'll also get something else. peace of mind. Every Graf used vehicle purchase comes with up to 6 oil changes for the first 2 years of ownership. We'll also give you free tire rotation with every other oil change. Always a great selection of used vehicles starting from $1,000 and up. Check them out at grafokemos.com. Lower your cost of ownership with our Peace of Mind program, only at Graf Chevrolet in Okemos.
So, I got my start in officiating when a friend told me I should try it. At first, I just did basketball, and I got hooked. Before long, I added baseball, softball, football, and volleyball. I really enjoy giving back to the game, working with kids, and working with my local association to recruit and train new officials. I would like to say to anybody that officiating is a great way to help kids and stay connected to the game. We always need new officials. There's help wanted, just listen.
Welcome back to Press Pass here on Fox 47. It's time for The Big Picture, brought to you by Dean Transportation. Dean is hiring caring and dependable people as school bus drivers in many Michigan markets. Be a hero in your community and safely transport children to and from school with Dean. For more information and to apply, visit deantransportation.com/jobs. That's deantransportation.com/jobs.
We've been at this thing for 14 weeks, grinding through, like we just saw on the screen there, thousands and thousands of options, many of which would have been perfectly fine. We're looking for the magical, mythical one that satisfies all 32 teams, all 7 now broadcast partners. That schedule probably doesn't exist, so this becomes less of an exercise in optimization and more of an exercise in pain management. Everybody's going to be a little disappointed, but hopefully just a little and hopefully evenly so. The biggest challenges this year, you mentioned Elton John, Lady Gaga, Bad Bunny. It's been a couple of years since those musical acts have gotten a tour.
Right.
So they're all touring again now suddenly. I can definitely get you tickets. That's the good news. The bad news is we had to work around them and make sure that, the vice president of marketing or the stadium operator is like, yeah, we got to put this concert in here. The head coach says, hang on a second, I get it, but don't make me open 2 away or have a 3-game road trip as a result. Although, as you guys mentioned, that's not always the competitive inequity that we think it is. So good teams overcome challenges. Bad teams can certainly blame the schedule makers if they want to. But we're happy with the end product and really excited for everybody to see it.
Joe, almost an endless number of scheduling possibilities, 272 games in 32 U.S. cities plus foreign destinations over 18 weeks. Would you like to sit in on that process?
Maybe not as much as Kevin Pauga would, for example. But let me shout out to KP. But let me just say, I would have liked to have sit in this year and said, guys, please, I know I'm hijacking the show for Tennessee purposes. Please do not put the Titans and Colts playing both of their games and having their series done in October when the other 2 teams in the AFC South are total garbage, the Texans and Jaguars. We want Titans Colts at the end of the season. So there's my beef with the schedule.
Larry, what about the Lions assignments? Are they winners or losers with the games and dates they've been given, including 3 straight home games?
Well, I think they get a chance to possibly get off to a good start. Philadelphia, Washington, and Seattle are 3 of their first 4 games, all at home. And dare I say, those are winnable games on paper right now. And they have not been very good anywhere. But if they could maybe go 2-2, maybe there'd be some legitimate cause to be excited about Dan Campbell in year 2.
Larry, what about the preseason? Just 3 games now and only 1 in Detroit. Does that shorter preseason change the way Dan Campbell and his staff will approach things?
I don't think so. I'm just glad that I only have to cover 1 preseason game. I look at these. This is a big day for me when the NFL schedule comes out because I can look at when are Michigan State and the Lions all on the road so I can have a weekend off. But that only happens.
How many do
once.
you have?
1. I have 1. I call those my Hallelujah weekends. And I guess I didn't say enough Hail Marys because I only got 1 this fall. But I'm not complaining. But I really think the Lions – have a chance to be better. Their over-under is 6.
Yeah.
And in a 17-game schedule, I might think about the over. Not too much, but, I think Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell have something going. I think on offense, they could be relatively good.
Yeah.
And defense, if those draft picks hit, will be better. And they certainly can't be worse.
Cynthia Freeland, the NFL analytics expert and Okemos native, has the Lions at 7.4, which is pretty high. Joe, the national landscape is television driven, as always. Follow the money. But what about the Thanksgiving Day triple header in a season when we'll finally have a Christmas Eve game?
Yeah, well, look, I'm a fan of having the primetime game now on on Thanksgiving, the third game. Of course, the national audience, that is the only Lions game that you are going to be forced to watch. Meanwhile, it's interesting too with the NFL. A lot of things going on. One, the Amazon Prime, it's all streaming now on Thursdays, and with a local channel connected to that. And of course, on Christmas, that used to be. Remember, guys, when Christmas used to be like it was the NBA's domain. I understand the calendar sometimes. This year it's on a Sunday, but the NFL is they are absolutely overtaking whatever territory they want. I mean, look, they just took up a whole week of making us like nibble at the schedule. I mean, it's incredible how they have figured out a way to dominate the news cycle at all times of the year.
Yeah, there are people who don't know what Amazon Prime is who will be scrambling for it on Thursday nights. Joe, University of Michigan, 5 players drafted, including 2 in round 1. Out of MSU's 4 players picked, all eyes are on Kenneth Walker III, as they were all last season. What do you think of these words from Seahawks coach Pete Carroll? Very excited about K9 after grabbing him with the 41st pick.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think he's got a chance to be an outstanding running back in the NFL. I do. I like the pick a lot. I kind of feel for Kenneth Walker because he's going to a team with Drew Lock as a quarterback. At this point, something could still change between now and then. But I think look, we understand the conflict between Pete Carroll and Russ Wilson. They want to run the ball. They're going to run the ball.
Yeah. K9 just scored against Michigan, so we'll see what he does in season. We'll be right back.
Call it a sense of purpose, a higher calling. At Dean Transportation, we call it our passion. It's simply who we are. 60 years of pioneering the best health and safety standards because safe student transportation is essential. We are hard-working folks, connecting children to learning, schools to our communities, and you to a better career. Want to make Mid-Michigan a better place? We'll put you in the driver's seat. Join the Dean family today and help to connect our kids to brighter futures.
At Graff Chevrolet in Okemos, you'll always get a great deal on a huge selection of high-quality used cars and trucks. But you'll also get something else, peace of mind. Every Graff used vehicle purchase comes with up to 6 oil changes for the first 2 years of ownership. We'll also give you free tire rotation with every other oil change. Always a great selection of used vehicles starting from $1,000 and up. Check them out at graffokemos.com. Lower your cost of ownership with our Peace of Mind program, only at Graff Chevrolet in Okemos.
Anyone who's had our chicken knows it's plump and juicy. What they may not know is that it's also 100% natural.
All our chickens are certified, humanely raised, no antibiotics, on a high-quality diet of soy and grain.
Why are they called tenders?
They're called tenders because they come from the tenderloin to the breast, hand-trimmed just for colors. It's not a strip or a finger, it is the true tenderloin.
I'll put our chicken tenders up against anybody's.
That's like my Granny Franklin used to make. That's outstanding, Craig.
Welcome to Delicious.
Midwest Power Equipment's moved 1,500 feet down the street, and to celebrate, we're offering free setup, free assembly, and free delivery on all new Toros, like the one featuring the Toro MyRide suspension system. Tough on jobs, easy on the back, absorbing the bumps so you can comfortably crush jobs faster. Long mowing days feel shorter with the amazingly comfortable Toro MyRide. Get into Midwest Power Equipment today. Now at 3384 James Phillips Drive in Okemos.
Whatever you've got planned this week, you're going to want to cancel it. And come see me at Kia of Lansing and Kia of Jackson to check out the 22 Kia Telluride, because you know I want to see ya in a Kia.
Welcome back to Press Pass on Fox 47. It's time for our one and only segment, brought to you by One North Kitchen and Bar on West Saginaw. Voted Lansing's best new restaurant and best sports bar, One North is the one place I take guests for amazing scratch cooking, craft cocktails, and more than 40 TVs to watch every game on every channel. That's One North Kitchen and Bar, where friends and family gather to make good times great.
Fly ball deep left field. Back goes McKenna. That ball is gone. Cabrera's power surge in May continues. Number 505 of his career.
A high hanger, and Miggy knew what to do with it, as Matt Shepard tells us. Back over the bullpen and deepest part of a deep ballpark, and Larry, I smile thinking about that split season ticket we had the first year out there staring into the sun. But that was one of the longest home runs that Cabrera has hit in a long time. Did it bring back memories of what he could do when he was Triple Crown winner, best hitter in baseball, as you gushed about last week?
Yeah, it certainly did. He's been part of this recent surge and swinging the bat really well. 6-game hitting streak, approaching 300, showing he's got some pop left and some gas in the tank.
Joe, let's take a look at Cabrera's entire week. Clearly, he can still be a major factor in the Tigers' success. Has 11 hits in the last 6 games. And the way the infield has been hitting for Detroit, it looks even better. But what's a fair expectation for production from a sure first ballot Hall of Famer in the declining stages of his career?
Yeah, it's a great question, Jack. But obviously, Cabrera's best years have passed him by. He's hit these incredible milestones. I honestly wouldn't have guessed a few years ago, like go back to 2019 or so.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed that right now he would be doing what he is.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a really bad ending. Fair expectation, look, I mean, he's flirting with 300 right now. Last couple of years, he's been more around 250. I mean, if he can stay around there, be a credible middle of the order presence, stay healthy, be in there the entire time. I mean, to me, that's realistic.
Well, he's got the milestones now. 500 homers last year, up to 505, 3,000 hits. Now he's passed Al Kaline at 3,007. 600 doubles, part of a club, just 7 who have those 3. And if you throw in 7 who had those numbers, and then when you throw in the doubles, you cut it down more to just 3 players. And if you throw in a 300 batting average, it's just Cabrera and Henry Aaron. Lair, when you look at the Tigers' week, though, it's just 4-4. Was it better than that in some ways? Did they find something, however small, this weekend, or was it just the product of playing Baltimore?
I think they found something and took advantage of a team that they should beat, but they haven't been beating anyone this season. 3 in a row after starting 9-23. That's significant. And what they found was that Cabrera can still hit. It's no coincidence that this winning streak has coincided with his hitting streak.
Talked to some fans who were down there middle of the week, and I said, "You have fun down there?" They said, "Yeah, Miggy got 2 hits." They didn't care. They won, lost. That didn't matter. Joe, as we look at the next 7 days in this marathon, when do we know what a team really is? I don't expect Detroit to do a 180 the way the Boston Celtics just did, but could they play 500 ball the rest of the way?
I think that's optimistic. I mean, I think we have a pretty good idea of what this team is. And I understand that injuries have obviously been a big part of the story, but a lot of disappointments. I got to ask you guys, this is your wheelhouse, Larry and Jack. I mean, is Alex A under fire right now, and should he be under fire for where this team is right now?
Where?
I think so, because while he had excuses in previous years for the record that the Tigers have had, this was the year that the Tigers spent a lot of money to address some issues at shortstop with Baez and in the starting rotation with Rodriguez, bolstered the bullpen, and the results are not there. And, I'm not saying he's going to get fired in May, but he's got to turn this around, I think, to have the job security he's had as Dave Dombrowski's successor.
I think he'll be in trouble when he gets on the wrong side of the Ilitch family, and not until, and I want to give him just a little more slack. I'm not saying he belongs in the Baseball Hall of Fame, but if you look at, we really haven't seen Riley Green yet because of the injury. Torkelson, I think most people think, is going to be a big-time power hitter. The young pitchers, they lost most of the starting rotation. He was able to get Javi Baez. Before that, he got A.J. Hinch, so I think that maybe he'll have a little bit longer leash. Larry, I want to take a look at today's winning pitcher, Tarek Skubal. Is he the Tigers' best player? And do you agree with Lynn Henning that Detroit could actually trade a young pitcher for a major upgrade on offense?
He has been their best player, which isn't saying a lot because they've really struggled at the plate and on the mound and in the field. He has been so far, without a doubt. And I would respectfully disagree with Mr. Henning, who does know more about baseball than I do, but I think they have invested so much in pitchers and drafting and developing that it's too soon to trade any of their young pitchers.
We will be back in just a minute. We'll take a look at college football and more coming up on Press Pass.
At the David Chapman Agency, we take your business insurance personally. Our expertise makes it easy for you. Experience the benefit of a local agent who cares about your business with the David Chapman Agency and Auto Owners Insurance. Visit davidchapmanagency.com.
I belong at Lansing Community College because nothing stands in my way. LCC professors and instructors are online learning experts and bring professional experience into the classroom, so I know what I learn is valuable. LCC offers transferable classes for 40% less and welcomes transfer and guest students. Many career-focused programs can be completed in less than 1 year. You belong here too. Visit lcc.edu/youbelong and apply today.
Thinking about moving? Make your next house a home with a mortgage from MSU Federal Credit Union. Apply for your mortgage loan today by calling or applying on the app. You can also apply online. MSU FCU, building dreams together.
Call it a sense of purpose, a higher calling. At Dean Transportation, we call it our passion. It's simply who we are. 60 years of pioneering the best health and safety standards because safe student transportation is essential. We are hard-working folks, connecting children to learning, schools to our communities, and you to a better career. Want to make Mid-Michigan a better place? We'll put you in the driver's seat. Join the Dean family today and help to connect our kids to brighter futures.
When you take a look inside Dart Bank, you'll find a banking experience like no other. You'll find that each of our banking offices are made of local people making local decisions. Even through these challenging times, our teams and lobbies stayed open, ready to help you through all your banking and mortgage needs when you needed us most. So if you're looking to upgrade where you bank, we invite you to come see our Dart difference. After all, we've been doing this for over 94 years. Dart Bank, for what matters most.
Anyone who's had our chicken knows it's plump and juicy. What they may not know is that it's also 100% natural.
All our chickens are certified, humanely raised, no antibiotics, on a high-quality diet of soy and grain.
Why are they called tenders?
They're called tenders because they come from the tenderloin to the breast, hand-trimmed just for colors. It's not a strip or a finger, it is the true tenderloin.
I'll put our chicken tenders up against anybody's.
That's like my Granny Franklin used to make. That's outstanding, Craig.
Welcome to Delicious.
Welcome back to Press Pass here on Fox 47. It's time for Take It to the Bank segment, brought to you by Dart Bank, dedicated to meeting the needs of our banking community for more than 90 years, with 4 convenient locations in Mason, Holton South Lansing, Grand Ledge, and the expanded Home Loan Center in Frandor. That's Dart Bank for what matters most.
You know, I think one of the things that I'd like to see us be able to work back to is, everything in college football has always had parity. Same scholarship, same academic support, healthcare, whatever it is. And, I don't think we have that balance right now, which could affect, the parity of college football and college athletics as a whole. So, and I know we got a lot of good people working on it, and I'm sure they'll come up with a good solution for us.
I'm not sure exactly how Paul Feinbaum kept a straight face when Nick Saban is talking about slanted playing fields. It must seem hysterical to many in the SEC and elsewhere for him to say that when Alabama enjoys just about every advantage there is. But I think Nick really does care about the sport, the structure, and a crazy new world with few boundaries. College football and basketball, Joe, just the new junior NFL and NBA, but with no binding contracts or salary caps.
Yeah, it's looking that way. I can't say much of what has happened has surprised me, including the reaction from some people who, to me, have been fighting about this for a long time and should have embraced it a long time ago. But I will say that the dollar amounts have surprised me a bit. But if you think about it, when you've got boosters at these schools, and there's a variety of different ways to use your money as a booster, but it's always been kind of agreed upon. Like the facilities race is a huge deal. You've got to have the latest and greatest and all that stuff. And I think we're moving toward, you know what? Put all that money to this collective, because the salary pool has to be big enough to get the best players.
Larry, let's take a look at the first 8 seasons of the college football playoff when we talk about a lack of parity. You see a lot of the same names keep popping up there, just 3 from the Big Ten. What stands out to you, and can you give me 2 programs that have not participated yet in the playoff, but might in the next 3 years?
Well, what jumps out at me is how Southern universities are dominating college football. And it's really obvious when you look at the college football playoff history year by year, as we see it here on the graphic. The 2 teams I see breaking through that are not on there, USC with Lincoln Riley and Jimbo Fisher with Texas A&M.
Yeah. I think those are very logical choices. Larry, ESPN senior writer Mark Schlabach was a guest on the Drive with Jack this week, and he released his way too early top 25 after spring ball. I want to take a look at that. What jumps out to you, and are you surprised that someone would rank MSU ahead of Michigan, even after the 10 Spartan wins in the last 14 battles for Paul Bunyan?
Well, what jumps out at me is seems a little high for USC, even though I just picked them to break through. I'm not saying that's going to happen this year, but I see that happening. Having USC at 12 seems pretty high. Michigan and Michigan State with the Spartans at 8 and the Wolverines at 9, that seems a little high for both of them. And it does surprise me a little bit to see a national writer put Michigan ahead of Michigan State. Unless they've been watching the head-to-head competition over the last decade or so.
Well, he said he watched Mel Tucker very closely as he lives in Georgia. And he said he was destined for greatness. And with Michigan State inking him to that long-term contract, he's very optimistic about MSU's football future. Joe, we've heard lots of ideas about Big Ten divisions, changes in the landscape nationally, from rearranging teams to doing away with divisions entirely. There you see the current alignment. Remember, we started with legends and leaders when Ohio State was not in the same division as Michigan and Michigan State. In fact, the Spartans and Buckeyes wound up playing for the Big Ten championship in 2013. I think a game we all remember. Joe, what do you think should happen with this? And what do you think will happen with it?
Well, first of all, these, when this happened, I think Jim Delaney was counting on a couple things. One, Nebraska becoming Nebraska again, and also Michigan State regressing. And so, the point he made several times was, geography over time will work out, but these are terrible divisions. It's so imbalanced. I think they should get rid of the divisions. I don't know if I believe that will happen, but I think it should happen. And
Yeah.
I like the pod system where you have a small group that you're going to play all the time, and then you play all the others one year and then all the others the next. But I don't know if that's going to happen.
We'll be right back with our weekly awards and another look at Adreian Payne and Lacey Holsworth.
You Pull and Save wants your vehicle. Any model, any year, any condition. To get a quote, call 855-785-7278. We pay top dollar and have towing and pickup available. Or submit a quote online and schedule a pickup. Bring your title and license to one of our locations and put some cash in your pocket.
Transform your space with 11% off easy updates from Menards. Choose from our huge selection of Tarkett waterproof vinyl plank, easy to install sheet vinyl, and durable laminate flooring that stands up to everyday life. Save 11% on Tarkett flooring. Brighten up your room with LED light bulbs from Fight. These 60-watt equivalent bulbs are long-lasting and will save on energy costs. Hurry in, a 4-pack is only $3.99 after 11% rebate at Menards.
Save big money at Menards.
Call it a sense of purpose, a higher calling. At Dean Transportation, we call it our passion. It's simply who we are. 60 years of pioneering the best health and safety standards because safe student transportation is essential. We are hard-working folks, connecting children to learning, schools to our communities, and you to a better career. Want to make Mid-Michigan a better place? We'll put you in the driver's seat. Join the Dean family today and help to connect our kids to brighter futures.
At Graf Chevrolet in Okemos, you'll always get a great deal on a huge selection of high-quality used cars and trucks. But you'll also get something else, peace of mind. Every Graf used vehicle purchase comes with up to 6 oil changes for the first 2 years of ownership. We'll also give you a free tire rotation with every other oil change. Always a great selection of used vehicles starting from $1,000 and up. Check them out at grafokemos.com. Lower your cost of ownership with our Peace of Mind program, only at Graf Chevrolet in Okemos.
When you take a look inside Dart Bank, you'll find a banking experience like no other. You'll find that each of our banking offices are made of local people making local decisions. Even through these challenging times, our teams and lobbies stayed open, ready to help you through all your banking and mortgage needs when you needed us most. So if you're looking to upgrade where you bank, we invite you to come see our Dart difference. After all, we've been doing this for over 94 years. Dart Bank, for what matters most.
Welcome back to Press Pass on Fox 47. It's time for our Cool and Smooth segment, brought to you by 5 great Culver's locations in mid-Michigan: Okemos North and South, North Lansing, West Lansing, and DeWitt. Since 1984, Culver's has been delighting guests one meal at a time with scrumptious Butterburgers and premium frozen custard. Swing through any Culver's drive-thru and grab your fresh favorites. That's Culver's. Welcome to delicious.
And welcoming Adam Nightingale.
Super humbling to be here, and I'm excited about putting our best foot forward, and we're going to get Spartan hockey back to where it belongs, and that's at the top of college hockey. Thank you. Go Green.
After the long run of Ron Mason, MSU now in its 4th head coach in a couple of decades, and Larry, you knew a little bit about Adam Nightingale, to stay with the Red Wings and recommended by Jeff Blashill. Be very interesting to see what he can do here at Michigan State. All right, Team 450, who has been as cool and smooth as a Culver's mint explosion this week? Blair, what about you and our play of the week?
Play of the week is former Lansing Catholic coach John Cooper, who made all the right moves to eliminate Austin Matthews, who he made the right matchups with to hold without a goal in Game 7. The Maple Leafs once again cursed in Game 7, and some of that is because the best coach in hockey, the 2-time defending champ, is a former Lansing Catholic coach, John Cooper, for the Lightning.
Nice.
Yeah, that's well done, Larry. Joe, what about you and our team of the week?
I told you guys I was going to hijack this. How about a little Tennessee baseball?
Ooh.
Tennessee baseball team just won the SEC regular season title for the first time in 27 years. They are number 1 still in most of the polls. There's like 11, baseball polls, but this is the best team in college baseball. The strong favorite to win it all, including Ben Joyce, who is coming in around 105 mph out of the bullpen. Tennessee Vols baseball. Get the fever, guys.
Joe, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about Tennessee softball or track and field. Anything you want to throw in about that?
Both very good. Thanks for mentioning. And by the way, Tennessee women's basketball, Lady Vols have their best team on paper going into next year than they've had since the Pat Summitt era. So it's just a big advertisement for UT sports right here.
Yeah, you can't talk about the Predators. You might as well.
Exactly.
All right, I'm going to finish up with our players of the week. And want to give a shout out to my friend David the Mad Dog DeMarco. There are a lot of Mad Dogs, more than you would think, but there's only one Dave DeMarco. And he's a guy I've known since he was tending bar back at the family restaurant on Pennsylvania. But he's done so much for so many people in the community. His last show was Friday, heading down to Alabama, retiring after 26 years. But our real players of the week, Adreian Payne and Lacey Holsworth, and we could talk about them forever, but not as well as they did on the journey. We're going to close with more of that tribute.
I'm about to go. Yeah. All right. You have fun? Mm-hmm. All right, good. I'll see you tomorrow. All right? See you.
This past year, she was back in the hospital, and I knew he was a little down about it, and things were looking kind of not very good. I said, AP, I'll go down there with you. We were on our way down there, and he wanted to get her something. He bought her this stuffed animal.
When I came in, I was just, terrified, like, what's going on?
And the mother was whispering, AP's here to see you, and as I sat there, just like a guy behind the scenes, and watched AP on the, sitting on the bed with her, and the mother kept saying AP, and she turned, and her eyes opened for the first time in a couple days. And it was just like her world was better.
There's days where the smiles don't come as easily. When he can walk in the room and you see her just light up like that, it means everything.